Boom! What's going on, everyone? This is Steve Larsen. Welcome back to Sales Funnel Radio. Today we have a very cool question I'm excited to answer. Somebody wrote in and asked the question, what do I build after I have new revenue? As a brand new entrepreneur, what systems should I create and focus on after I actually have a funnel that's working?
I've spent the last 4 years learning from the most brilliant marketers today. And now I've left my 9-to-5 to take the plunge and build my $1 million business. The real question is, how will I do it without VC funding or debt, completely from scratch? This podcast is here to give you the answer. Join me and follow along as I learn, apply, and share marketing strategies to grow my online business, using only today's best internet sales funnels. My name is Steve Larsen, and welcome to Sales Funnel Radio.
What's up, my friends? Okay, I'm excited for today's episode. This is a big topic. Now, I remember when I first made the jump, I was excited. I created a cool launch campaign. I was selling. It was the first time I was like, man, this is more money I've ever seen in my life, you know? And it was a big moment for me, and it was very validating. And it was validating for many reasons. You know, I know a lot of you guys out there, right? You may have been trying something for a long time without success yet, or you currently have something and you're trying to figure out how to scale it. Now, what was fascinating is I pulled in about 200 grand really quick, and I was the only person in my business at the time. And I had to voluntarily turn down my revenue in order to turn up my systems. And I've told some of those stories in the past, probably around an episode like 120, 130 or something like that. And as I was kind of documenting in the middle of it and what was going on, well, what I think is interesting is now that was like, you know, well over a year ago, as I can look back, I can see what all the systems are that I actually put in place. This is a fantastic question. In fact, I just got interviewed by somebody talking about this, and they were asking, what systems should a new entrepreneur create? Now, you're going to get a ton of answers. I'm not telling you that what I'm going to say as an answer in this episode is the law, okay? But for me and for where I am, this is how I would answer that. So I actually got asked this question as well on a Facebook Live. So we're actually going to cut over there as well. And I'm answering this live in front of a live audience. And you'll see kind of how I go through and answer that. This is very, very key. I was advised to first hire an affiliate manager who also could take on support, right? So Coltons don't grow on trees, and he moved up here, and that's been awesome. And then I was like, oh man, I should go get a bookkeeper. We didn't even have that, right? Oh, then we should go get this. We should go get this, right? And it's me identifying the pain points in my systems. And honestly, in a lot of cases, the lack of a system. And so I had to go not only find somebody to run that system in my business, but also build it. And so I think this will be helpful to a lot of you guys. I am revenue focused. Sometimes that means other systems in my business have suffered a little bit, and I totally get that. But I'm not going to go build a system with no revenue. You know what I mean? That's exactly what school taught me to go do, is to go in and build a business and put the structure together. And then hopefully the structure you built is good enough to cause revenue. That sucks, right? I go the other way around instead. Let's build revenue. Let's build a funnel. Let's make sure sales are coming in, and then use that cash to build a system, right? It's the exact opposite. And it works way better, and you still own 100% of your business after that. So anyways, I'm excited for this episode, guys. Let's cut on over there. And if you could, please go to sfrreview.com, sfrreview.com. That's the place where you guys can leave me an honest review on how you guys think I'm doing in the show. And if this has been helpful, guys, thanks so much. Let's cut over.
Oh, you had a video on how to reduce noise. Step 5, you said, how can you increase your speed? What steps have you increased your speed when you first started your journey breaking off from ClickFunnels versus today? Jonathan, great question. So one of the things that I've done heavily is team building, right? When I left, it was just me, which means I was the guy doing fulfillment and selling and closing and the marketer and the guy on camera and the guy doing support tickets and the guy who, right? That's a lot of freaking roles, and it's fine for a while, but then soon what's going to happen is you're going to die. Most entrepreneurs, there's like two things that kill an entrepreneur. Number one, their business is just bad, right? They did not position themselves well, and they are not anti-red in a blue. They didn't when it comes to like the marketing and the product side, that's one of the things that really kills them. Not did you get VC funding? That crappy, most businesses don't need that junk, okay? Own your whole business. You don't need it. Just bootstrap it, right? You actually will do farther and better because of that, okay? So number one, one of the things that will kill most entrepreneurs is they didn't position themselves correctly. The second thing that will kill an entrepreneur is they don't start taking on help when they need it, right? I subscribe to the belief that one of my favorite books talks about. It's a book called Rework. Rework is a fantastic book. Rework is a fantastic book, and there's a concept in there that says you need to hire when it hurts. Hire when it hurts. Okay, so I tell myself that. Hire when it hurts. Hire when it hurts. Hire when it hurts. Right? I gotta be honest, I'm hurting. So soon, there's a few roles. You guys have noticed me starting to soft drop a few things in there. Okay, this little 3-day design challenge that I'm doing, you really think it's just for those frames? Come on, son. Right? This little thing about me asking who's local in Boise, do you really think it's just about me doing a shout out? Come on. Okay, I'm gonna go buy an office soon. We're expanding. But as in terms of like then versus now, right? Then versus now, very, very much one of the things that has changed is me offloading red dots. Okay. And if you don't know what that is, go look at my stuff on red dot, green dot. I offload the tasks of the business as much as possible, right? And I don't offload all of them. I'm like, hey, let's create a role and let's go, boom. Okay, now you do that role, and I'm going to watch the system to see if I created it correctly. Okay, that's also something I talked a lot about at last OfferMind. Okay, in college, I was voted as the CEO as one of these businesses, and we had a semester where all we did was we created a business for a whole semester. That's it. That's all. We had no other classes. I was still in the Army, but we had no other classes. They didn't help us, and we had to go make a real business from scratch with almost no help. And all we did is we could bring questions to them. They were the professors and teachers were not allowed to interfere the other way though, and so we had to be careful about what we would ask. Okay, and so I would go in and I would say, okay, let's create this business. And I got voted as a CEO because I was already kind of a hard charger then, and people saw that. I was pretty aggressive. And so what I did though is I realized soon after creating the business. Now this is one of the major lessons you guys can learn from this. Okay, one of the major lessons I learned from this is that when we created that first business, it was 15 employees, 14 employees and myself. I became the bottleneck of every single decision. Okay, everything down to, should I stir this way? Because they put us in the food business, even though I'm terrible at food. But I was not the one doing the cooking, right? Because I knew that, which I shouldn't have been anyways as the CEO. Like, should we stir this way or this way? That is not a decision I should be making, right? It's stuff like that, right? And so every single decision, should the banner be blue or dark blue? Right? What? Should it be gray or silver? Like, are you serious? It's like the same freaking color. Just choose something, right? And people would ask me all the same thing every single time, right? And it was every day. And I was like, I'm going to die. And I'd go spend the full day in our business. That was the whole semester. And then I go home in the evenings and go to our little apartment. And every day, everyone just be asking me business running related questions. I couldn't focus on finding new revenue. I couldn't focus on finding new ways to sell the product. I was busy making all the decisions in the business that frankly had nothing to do with revenue. That there were not that they weren't important. They just weren't the kinds of things I should be focusing on. So what I did is I created departments, and I said, hey, you look like you're great at marketing. You're going to be my CMO, and you 5 people, you look like you're really creative. You're going to be under his team. You, CMO, you now have authorization to make 80% decisions on your own, right, without talking to me. Don't bring anything to me unless you as a group can't come up with it. Right? And then I was like, finance, we need someone in finance. You look nerdy and you're happy about it. You're going to be the finance guy. You're now the CFO, and you guys are going to come in here and you are going to be in charge of finance. Look at our numbers, look at our projections, find out how far we can run, make sure that we're not going to run this thing to the ground. You, next group, you're going to go in and be part of supply chain. I want you to measure how far we can run with the current supplies because we're in the food business. What's our lead time on ordering ingredients? What's our lead time on finding more supplies? How far can we run with the current supply list? Talk a lot to finance to make sure that we're not also going to run it into the ground. Right? That's what I did. I said, you're now the CMO, you're the CFO, and you are the COO, okay? Operations guy. And now 80% of decisions were now off of my plate. What did I do? I would disappear randomly in the middle of the day. Right? And that sounds psycho. That's what I did. And I would do that for the intent to test the system that I had built. Too many times an entrepreneur is afraid to fail out of the get-go. They shouldn't be afraid to fail, what they should be doing is saying, how can I test the system I've built? And if you don't have one, you are the system, which is why you're not growing, right? And so I realized that quickly out of the gate. I was like, my gosh, I can't go do this long term. I'm going to die. I am the business. I have 14 little worker bees rather than 14 empowered people to just make the most logical decision that a group of those people can make in each role. And so what I would do is, this is funny, man. I did this, and we made the second most money of all the people that were there, which is awesome. It was a good semester. The professors, the teachers, they were very impressed with what we did. And one of the reasons why it worked so well, and we became a focal point for a lot of the teachers and professors and such, is because of how I set that up. And I would disappear randomly in the middle of the day. No joke. In the busiest parts of the day, I would just disappear and I'd go hide. And they'd start freaking out. And I start getting text messages. And I'd start, where are you? Where? And I wouldn't answer. And it sounds funny, man, but I would go like hide behind like a bush. You know, and I'd be like looking to see how everyone's reacting. And I would watch and I would observe. Right? And look at how they're responding. Crap, there's not enough rules and processes and procedures in the operations group. They're asking me too many questions on should I still stir right or left. I thought we talked about that. I need to test the system, right? Entrepreneurs, you have to understand, an entrepreneur solves a problem and then they don't get rid of the role as entrepreneur. They take on the role of CEO. And a CEO is not the same thing as an entrepreneur. Right? I can be the CEO, I can be the president of something and not entrepreneur a dang thing. An entrepreneur is in the business of problem solving. So all of you are entrepreneurs, you likely are if you're in this group or listen to my stuff. Okay? You come in as an entrepreneur, and I'm going to teach you how to be a marketer to create and solve. I'm going to teach you how to be a marketer to solve a problem with value that gets you paid. Then you need to take on the role of CEO. A CEO goes in and they solve problems in the form of systems, not marketing problems. That's an entrepreneur's role. Okay, a CEO owns systems. What is a business? A business is nothing more than a series of systems. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to tweak my finance system. I'm going to tweak my operations system. I'm going to go and I'm going to tweak does that make sense? My marketing systems. A business is nothing more than a bunch of systems. There's a few books that I read back in the day. The first half of the book was great. Then the second half got all freaking weird. And it was like, a business has a soul and you need to respect the soul of the business. That's crap. No, a business is a series of systems that generates a lead and fulfills on the lead. That's all a business is. And what are the systems that do that? An entrepreneur creates that product that all the systems revolve around. You still need to become a CEO eventually, which is to be a systems creator. Okay, so to answer your question, which again is kind of a long answer to this, just so you understand, there's 290 comments I've not looked at, 291. To answer your question, the major difference on how can I increase my speed, the answer is systems. Okay, and it's the same kind of thing as what you do as a marketer. And if you're like, I don't want to be that guy, that's fine. Eventually, you need to understand that you're either going to stay the main operator of your thing, or you need to find somebody who can kind of be that role and go create systems, which a lot of people in Russell's Inner Circle do. They're like, look, I'm not the operations or systems person. Like, sweet. Like, I'm just going to go create cool stuff. Someone else is going to be the CEO and put those things together. Okay. And just understand, otherwise you are the business, you are the systems, and there's no other difference, right? Than like you are the support guy. You are, does that make sense? You guys understand this? This is like a super key lesson. Okay, I'm not throwing rocks at people being CEOs. What I throw rocks at is people who go get VC funding that creates the business first, and then hopefully that system finds revenue. That is the model that college taught. That is the model that mainstream entrepreneurship teaches. That is the model that most of Shark Tank is about. Okay, let's go create. What's my logo going to be? What's my slogan? Where's our business building going to be? Let's go incur all these costs that are recurring, and then take on a debt to pay for those systems. And hopefully those systems are good enough that they're going to go and actually work to find revenue. That sucks. Do it the other way. That's what I teach. Okay, where I'm going to go teach you how to solve a core problem with a core offer, create revenue, and then with that revenue, build the systems that support the revenue. That's way better way to do this game. It's far more secure, and it's way easier to do it and win. A lot more people make it that way. I've seen nobody actually make 2 Comma Club as themselves, first of all. But people don't just go build a freaking business, systems and all this stuff, and what's our logo and slogan and mission statement, all this poop, okay? I call it crap poop, okay? It's junk. And then to turn around, give up half the thing that you've built, get golden handcuffs, and then turn around and hopefully those systems create revenue. That's a broken business model, man. That's like what everyone goes and does. We are in the information age, man. You know, it's Colton and I in this business as employees. There's 18 to 20 recurring other people that I pay as a 1099 to run what I do. 18. That's a lot of people. But they're all following a system. I'm not managing each one of them. I created a system that they follow. They don't follow me. They follow the system. And then what I do is the same thing I was looking at when I was in college. Is the system broken? Where are the holes? And I spend, right? That's why sometimes it'll look like I'm not doing a lot of things, or why are you launching anything? I'm launching a ton of stuff. What I'm doing is I'm building things that support it so that it's not dependent on me. And if I want to go to a freaking island, I can. And if I want to go do stuff like that, I can. I'm not the business. I'm not the company. I build a system, right? So right now I have 2 content systems, 2 content machines, as I call them. And soon I have a product that'll be coming out called My Content Machine. I bought mycontentmachine.com, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to show you guys how I do it, though. A lot of people have been asking, like, Steven, you're going to die. You never take a break. I work 9 to 5 now, 9 to 6, and take breaks a lot. And usually stay up too late, kind of like hanging out and partying a little. And right? My role in the business is to not be the business. My role as an entrepreneur is to solve a huge problem, which I've done, and then build a system and a series of systems that support it. And so the systems that I mostly go focus on as a beginning entrepreneur is I find a way to systemize my support. Because if I answer tickets differently every time, if someone can reach out to me on Facebook and find my phone number, which is creepy, and find my email address, which is creepy, and they're going to answer this way and ask this way, and let's Skype and let's Zoom and let's do Instagram, let's do blah, 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 all this stuff. There's no system there. I am the system, right? That's why I don't answer support tickets if it didn't come through the support ticket system, which is plastered on every single footer of every page. We don't hide the thing. It's on all the emails. It's on all, right? It's all over the place. But same thing with revenue. I'm not the funnel. Right? So when people are like, Steven, I'm considering buying your main thing, and they'll tag me in a Facebook post, most of the time I don't answer. What it means is the funnel did not capture that person correctly. Why are they asking me that? I don't look at it to, how can I answer this question? What I'm looking at is, what did the funnel not pick up this person for? What's the excuse they're using, right? Because a funnel is just a system too. It's a revenue system. So what did it not do to pick that person up, and now it's pooped them out the other side, and they didn't buy, and they're over here saying, will it do this? I'm like, crap. Oh, I should have talked about that. Let's add an FAQ because it's the 3rd time I asked this question. We'll put it on the sales page as an FAQ. Boom. All right? I'm not the funnel. The funnel's the funnel. Okay? Does that make sense? I'm not building something where it's not a hobby. I'm not building a hobby. This isn't a company, okay, where I go in and I tweak the revenue. That's where my expertise is, right? I'm really freaking good at revenue systems. We call them funnels, okay? Really good at them, regardless of the product, price point, and industry. That's what I'm good at, okay? The systems thing, I'm learning how to do that. I'm taking that on, and that's awesome. That's great. There's no reason for me not to be doing those things. I need to do them, right? To do that, because it's not my expertise, that's where I go get a mentorship. So I hire guys like Alex Sharfin, right? James Friel. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. They're going to have shortcuts for me. I don't have to go take the time to figure that out. Let's go hire the person, and they're going to tell me, install this system. Boom. Oh, that's cool, man. Thanks. What other systems should I put in? Well, looking at your stuff, you should put that system in. Boom, boom, boom. That system, that system, that system, right? So I'm being tutored with a lot of thought on the system for the actual business. And then I'm getting tutored by Russell and other key people, right? I study a lot of closing and sales from Grant Cardone. I study a lot of marketing, obviously, from Russell. I study a lot of, those are the 2 main people, okay? Sometimes Pat Flynn, he's the guy that kind of got me started on the internet, honestly. Some of you guys probably are the same with Smart Passive Income. That's a good podcast. I used to listen to it like crazy, okay? But like once I've learned the 80% from somebody I feel like I can learn, I will either seek out somebody else or stop learning from that thing for a while I just execute, and then replace what my roles are with people or tools or processes like James Friel talks about. Okay. One of those three, a person, a process, or a tool that replaces it. That's why if you guys go to like, I have bestmarketingresources.com. A lot of people be like, what other tools do you need besides ClickFunnels to run your thing? And I'm like, that's kind of a trick question, because at the beginning, just ClickFunnels, like that's all you need, right? But as I've expanded, I don't want to be certain things and roles that I've normally been, so then I'm going to go take on other tools. That's why I have my bestmarketingresources.com. It's called bestmarketingresources.com. There's like 50 tools on there that I pay for. And someone's like, you need all this and ClickFunnels to be successful? I'm like, yeah, like down the line, dude. Like settle down. Go make some revenue first, and then start to grab each one of those things as it makes sense. And I'm not paying for it. The customers are. The business is. Right? I was like, man, chill out, bro. Okay, just go grab. Just focus on revenue. Okay, and then turn around and go grab all those things afterwards. So hopefully that answers your question. I think I've pummeled it. But like, how can I increase my speed? The answer to that usually is a tweak to my business systems rather than can I actually squeeze another hour out of the day? I've noticed, and it's become very, very apparent. Actually, and I learned this from Russell. I was sitting next to him and someone was like, one of his inner circle people were saying like, what truly is the difference between a 6 and 7 figure business? And without hesitation, Russell was like, leverage. He's like, getting to 7 figures has nothing to do with working more hours in the day. In fact, when I work more hours in the day, I get less effective for the following day. That's why I don't really subscribe to the whole hustle till you die thing. Like, that's stupid. Okay, there's a phase for that. Hustle till your brain falls out. Like, there's a phase for that. And when I left my job the first 3 months, certainly that was 100% that, right? Hustling my brains out. Okay, but eventually that will kill me. That will kill anybody. And I won't have a life, and I won't have a life for the things that I built the business for in the first place. Okay, so the answer is it evolves. A lot of times we ask for so many, like, what's the blanket statement answer I can get from this? Well, it depends where you are. That's why at Funnel Hacking Live, I was talking about like answering the next single step in front of you only. Only study for the next thing in front of you. Okay, I've been going for an hour now. I just want you guys to understand, like, I can't teach all this stuff on a podcast or on a Facebook Live. Someone reached out and they're like, you give everything away on your podcast. No, I do not. Okay, absolutely not. I'm giving you guys little tiny tasty goodies. Okay, the reason I started OfferMind last year is because I wanted to finally have a platform where I could just teach with thought. It's not just a random rabbit that I'm following. I spent weeks preparing just the slides to make sure that it was articulated in the way that it needed to be to actually dump out the formula and the patterns. I'm very formula driven, as you guys can tell. And I wanted to have a platform to go and teach all this stuff in an order, right? In the row it should be in, right? Does that make sense? That's why I jump into marketing stuff first with any new entrepreneur rather than what's your slogan? Let's go get a business loan. That's garbage. You don't need any of that stuff. Okay. You don't need a lot of the systems I'm using right now either if you're brand new. Eventually you should probably get them, right? But there's definitely an order that most frequently causes success with this stuff, which is the purpose of OfferMind. Okay. It starts at the offer. When the offer really starts at the who. Okay. All right, my friends. Hopefully that helped. What I just taught highly negates everything I learned in marketing. Don't think you guys need any kind of qualification in order to be successful in this stuff. It has nothing to do with that. And what I'm hoping you guys understand with this is, like I was saying, the main idea of your product comes from the red ocean, and then increasing your speed usually has nothing to do with you working harder. It has everything to do with leverage and creating systems that replace you. Thankfully enough, majority of the time, it's the same kind of systems over and over again. Okay, same kind of systems over and over again that most businesses need. Support, fulfillment, right? Usually some kind of sales department, meaning phone sales. So that's one thing we're adding right now, which you see, that's why I asked you. I'm going to be following up with a lot of you guys. Okay, that's why I was asking that. As far as like getting your first few hires, I was very careful to choose a Colton. Coltons don't grow on trees, but I chose to hire a role first that was revenue generating. So Colton came in and his main focus is he's the affiliate manager, right? Meaning I'm bringing on a role that is helpful, but it's also revenue generating. So he came in and he took over support plus affiliate stuff. And as we've grown, right, some of the roles that he was doing at the beginning, he's not doing anymore. They're offloaded. Same with me, right? And it will continue to do that as it grows and we offload what we were doing, right? That's why a hire when it hurts. Anyways, you guys should be cash flowing pretty hard before you go hire anybody, in my honest opinion. But that doesn't mean you can't have systems still. Go create a ticketing system. Go create a fulfillment system. I stopped shipping our boxes. I went and I used ShipZoom. They're amazing, right? I don't even look at this stuff anymore. They got a sweet software. It syncs with the back of my ClickFunnels account. They order the stuff when it gets low. I mean, it's awesome. Okay. And a lot of you guys are like, oh, well, I need to know that before I launch. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just launch. Have the revenue, and then the revenue goes and lets you build the systems. I've never ever put $1 of my business, $1 of my own in my business ever because of that. Freaking publish because you get an audience. Launch your thing to that audience. Take that revenue. Don't you dare take profit. Reinvest it back into ads and eventually systems. Do that 3 or 4 times. You make way more money than most 9-to-5ers could ever dream of. Okay, in a month. Badly. Okay, but most people just can't go do it. All right, my friends, I'm excited to see you guys at OfferMind. Hopefully you guys will be there. I have a very unique take on a lot of this stuff. Hopefully you guys are seeing that. Thanks for being in the group. I appreciate you guys being in here. I would love it if you guys could review Sales Funnel Radio. If you guys go to Sales Funnel Radio on iTunes and review it there, I'm always blown away that people who just, frankly, the stuff's not that amazing, or they've not actually done the thing that we're talking about, that they're talking about, or very long. They'll have more reviews than I do. And I'm like, what? It hurts my feelings. Sales Funnel Radio is almost like 500,000 downloads. It'll be hitting there soon. And anyways, hopefully you guys, I answer some of your major questions today. Those are the major questions most new entrepreneurs struggle with at the beginning.
Woo! Hey, there's more marketing resources than there are sands of the sea, am I right? Okay, maybe not, but there's a lot. How do you know if you're paying for good ones? Recently, I went through my business bank statement and I counted 51 internet tools and resources that I use to run my business every day and actually keep my team size small. If you want to see the list, I actually filmed an individual video teaching you why I use each tool and the strategy behind it, and then I dropped the link straight to the source right below it. If you want to see the list and see what you can use yourself, go to bestmarketingresources.com. That's bestmarketingresources.com.